Hi, I'm Dazza Greenwood, and this is the final guide of the initial series of hands-on tutorials and walkthroughs for how you can get up and running very quickly to use the Lake Merritt open source custom AI evals platform. Let's get into it. In Guide 7, this is kind of a one further step from the previous Guide 6, where we started to use open telemetry as a great way to evaluate AI agent systems, or honestly, to evaluate any complex system or system of systems. In this case, we're going to stick with the scenario of evaluating multi-agent, multi-AI agent systems. And in this case, we're going to be taking open telemetry from a real live system called Agento, which I created and which I use for more complex project planning. And it's very modular, and it's got multi-agents and different applications that all are doing part of like a broader arc of a workflow, and being able to get open telemetry off of each of those applications and each of those agentic processes to be able to inspect and trace different spans of what's happening is absolutely essential. Otherwise, it's all but impossible to figure out what happened, much less to evaluate it. Let's take a look at what some of that looks like. This way too big to just put into this page. Here's one from a relatively small run. You'll notice that unlike the previous OpenTelemetry, this has got some 39 rows, and also unlike the previous one, it's not just find and book me a coffee shop near City Hall. This one goes on and on and on, and it's much chunkier in terms of the data and in terms of the assignments that are happening. I'll get into the details of this in a moment, but first let's just grab the data. I'll take it all, and because we have to scroll for quite a while to get all the data off to the right, I'll show you a quick hack for this. Keep the Shift key depressed and just press the down arrow at the same time, and presto changeo, you've now selected everything in the text box. Super handy. There's a lot more righteous hacks where that came from. Just stand by. All right, make sure these are all on a different row. Yeah, good. And I did that just by taking word wrap off. Now we're going to name the file. And what are we going to name it again? We're going to name this file Agent Trace JSON. Why not? That's not what we named the other one, right? Right, good. Here we go. Save that. Boom. And now let's make the eval pack. What are we doing in this eval pack? Well, first things first. Let me just make I'll make the files. I'm now literally showing you exactly what you'll do. You can open a text file, copy and paste that stuff in, save it with this name, plan quality pack. It's an eval pack.yaml. And what are we doing? We are now going to evaluate from, I think I mentioned the Agento multi-agent system, how good a job did all of these different agents and all these applications and processes do at the end with the plan they finally came up with at achieving what the user's intent and goal most probably was with their little initial statement of what they wanted done when they set the agents off and released the Krakens. That's what we're doing. And to do that, I'm having it look at different kind of touch points through the process from different applications and different things that happened. And at the end, I've got a kind of a 1 to 5 grading rubric here, which is 5 being the best. It's very likely to achieve the user's goal. 1 being the worst. It's the final plan's unlikely to achieve the user's goal. Why this matters, and what the reason why I do this eval sometimes, is as I fiddle with things to optimize some part of a multi-agent system, they can sort of drift sometimes from what the original purpose is or what the expected final outcome is. I just like to do things that adhere it and kind of bring it back from time to time. That's what this kind of eval is for. It's also just to see It's this fundamental question of quality, like how good a job did we do achieving the user's goal? So that's what we have here. Let's run the pack. Again, we go here, click upload eval pack. Plain quality. Good. Just triple check that this is right. Yep, that's the right one. And let's upload that chunky data. Agentotrace.json. That's a lot of data. And now let's run the pack. It's now constructing basically the prompt by taking little bits and pieces from across all of those spans and traces and sending it as part of a larger prompt with instructions to the LLM as a judge, which is the scorer that was selected. And we should have an answer, which is, we got a check mark. We got a check. It seems to think the final plan was pretty good. Let's take a look at the reasoning. In this case, it's actually just one question. It's one question that spans a lot of analysis. But let's see what we got. The final revised plan. And the other thing I made it do is look at revisions to the plan, which also is a opportunity to introduce mischief with these multi-agent systems where it revises and is optimizing for something, but maybe not the big envelope of what we're trying to solve for. So the final revised plan shows significant improvement and expansion over the initial plan, making it somewhat more likely. That's better than 3. Probably gave it a 4. Yep, 4, somewhat more likely. We could go into more detail here and keep tweaking and optimizing it. This actually is a pretty good eval, I know, because I've been using it for a while. And then, of course, as I mentioned in many of the other guides, in addition to the view results and just doing some initial quick exploration of the results of the eval, you can go to the download center and get the full reports in CSV JSON format. And you can maintain the configurations to see, especially if you've tweaked it a little bit or something like that. And you get your top line report, just like how many wins and loses did we have and how did it cluster and things like that. There you have it, from zero to hero in a way. Well, like we started with, remember the time way back in guide number 1 when we just did like a 3-column spreadsheet and we went all the way through generating a lot of data, replicating the BBQ fairness benchmark, doing an adjacent spin on that, which was fiduciary duties, using the same methodology as BBQ, introduced the idea of not just doing CSVs, but open telemetry, and then how to do pretty close to like real open telemetry from real multi-agent projects and processes. So now you've got your first little taste of how the Lake Merritt open source custom AI evals platform works. Stay tuned for more tutorials and more documentation showing the real power and extensibility of this modular architecture to create more custom scorers and different types of ingesters and to do some interesting scripting and to really make this fit for purpose for the kinds of custom evals that you need to do. Thank you.